Good Easter morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this new day, this first day in a new week, this fresh morning when the world is white again. This fresh morning when the world is bright and new again, in all its trouble and beauty, in the muddle and the miracle and the mystery of it all. Whether you're gathered here in person with us in our South Edmonton facility, or whether you're joining us at home or in your travels, wherever life has placed you in this moment, we welcome you as we celebrate together the festival of Easter on this, hard to believe when you look outside, but April 17th, 2022. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever joys or sorrows, blessings or burdens you're holding this day, we're here with each other to lean into the fabric of community, the community we create together as we share and face the realities of this paradoxical time, when we're living in both a Good Friday world and an Easter world, living in the midst of the mud and the melt, the fear and the gratitude, the gift and the responsibility of being alive in this day. Today we're concluding our series, Reframing a Traditional Christian Past. My notes say Christmas. I must have known something on Friday. As we make a shift from Easter, as we've often known it, to be an event, to Easter as a shared experience. And as we place ourselves in community with each other, whether we're doing that virtually or in person, I invite us to take a moment to pause and be mindful of where our feet are placed, where our life is placed, and the story of the land we call home, the long story of its first peoples, the painful history of colonization, and the new story we're seeking to write of healing and reconciliation and deep respect for one another, coming together as Indigenous, refugees, and settlers, and finding with one another right relationship. So we take a moment, wherever you are, to honor the land with which we live, honor the Indigenous of that land, the first peoples to learn its wisdom. And may we open ourselves anew to the treasures and the teachings of their ceremonies and their spiritual practices as we make our way, walking each other home.
Happy Easter, and I invite us to a time of candle lighting now. There are lots of candles lit already behind me, and there's lots of candles lit in front of me. But there's one candle that we light when we gather that is the most special, our community candle, and we've been lighting it for as long as many of us can remember whenever we gather. And we'll light it again today, and we invite those of you joining us at home to light your candle that connects you with us this morning. We light this candle for Easter today, and for all the ways that this traditional celebration of Easter has been for us, how it is for us now, and how it may yet evolve for each of us. We light this candle for the way its spark grows into a flame. We light it for the way a seed sprouts and grows into a flowering plant. We light this candle for the way an idea is shared and becomes a movement and a way of living. We light this candle for the way our challenge and grief can be transformed with love and with community, with hope into gratitude and into deep wisdom. And we light this candle for all that spring might bring and how we are people of hope when it comes to spring, with much, much practice. May this light be our Easter light in the time we share together and in the days and weeks ahead.
Joy comes with the dawn. Joy comes with the morning sun. Joy springs with the day and scatters the night with the song. Joy comes with the dawn. Weeping may come. Weeping may come in the night when dark shadows cloud our sight. Joy comes with the dawn. Joy comes with the dawn. Joy comes with the morning sun. Joy springs with the day and scatters the night with their song. Joy comes with the dawn. Sorrow will turn. Sorrow will turn into song, and love's healing makes us strong. Joy comes with the dawn. Joy comes with the dawn. Joy comes with the morning sun. Joy springs with the day and scatters the night with her song. Joy comes with the dawn. We will rejoice. We will rejoice and give praise for a life that's lived with grace. Joy comes with the dawn. Joy comes with the dawn. Joy comes with the morning sun. Joy springs with the day and scatters the night with her song. Joy comes with the dawn.
As you're seated here, I'll invite anyone that wants to come to the carpet to come for a time for all ages this morning. Come on up. And it's Easter, and there's something in my basket in case that makes your decision any easier. Good morning. Happy Easter. I would like to talk to you about Easter. It's sometimes confusing and hard to understand what Easter's all about. There's an old story about Jesus and the day that he died, and then what happened with his friends and the people that were really sad about that, and what happened on Easter Sunday morning, and how we celebrate life returning. And it's a simple story, but it's also a confusing story. So I wanted to tell you an Easter story. Well, it's not a story. I wanted to talk about Easter in a little bit of a different way. And I want to talk about our feelings a little bit. So I thought the first feeling I would like to talk about is when we're sad. Has anyone ever been sad? Almost everyone has been sad? Okay, that's good. We are human. This is normal. We're sad sometimes. Now, I have another question, and I wonder if you think of the times that you're sad, what do you need the most when you're sad? You want your mommy. That's important. What about you?
I want my daddy.
And your daddy, yeah. Anyone else? What do you need when you're sad? Anything else? You've already said the most important things. We need people that we love to help us when we're sad. Because sometimes we might need to cry. Because everything gets so sad on the inside, it has to come out. It's the way emotions are. All of our emotions, they just have to come out. And sadness often comes out of our eyeballs. Sometimes what we need when we're sad is things that make us feel comfortable. So for me, it might be my pillow, or I don't know. Does anyone have a favorite stuffed kind of, what do you need?
My favorite lammy.
Your favorite lammy, yes. How about you?
My favorite squishmallow.
Your favorite squishmallow. Yes, they're so soft and squishy. They just make you feel better. Oh, you have it there? Look at that. So we need things that make us feel comfortable, but we also, the most important thing, we need people that we love. Sometimes we need a hug. Sometimes we need someone to just be with us, and it makes us feel like we're going to be okay. Now, can we talk about another emotion? Let's talk about happy. So, what do you need when you're happy? That's a weird question because we don't think about what we need when we're happy. But what do you need when you're happy? Do you have any ideas? Mm-hmm. You need to run in your backyard? Wow, yes, what a fantastic thing. How about you?
Sleep in my bed.
Sleep in your bed. That's nice. That's nice no matter what you're feeling. That's really good. What else could we need when we're happy? Any other ideas? You have another one?
Maybe calm yourself down.
Oh, yes. So you're really excited and you want to calm yourself down a little bit? Yeah, that's good. Sometimes we need, just like when we cry, when we're sad, we need to let out our emotions when we're happy too. So running in your yard is good, and sleeping in your bed is good. Sometimes laughing is good, and jumping, and yelling, and screaming, and all of those things. But I would say there's something else that we said when we were sad that I think we still need when we're happy. Do you think you know what it is? What do you think? Yes. Mommy, daddy, the people we care about and the people we love. Because if we want to share when we're sad because it helps us, sharing when we're happy also helps us. Who wants to be happy and have nobody around? How boring is that? When we're happy, we want to share it. We want to celebrate. Sometimes we want to have a party, right? So the thing about all of our emotions is that they're always a little bit easier when we've got people with us, people we care about, people that care about us. Easter, this whole weekend, is a time of lots of emotions. There can be sadness, and there can be happy, and there can be a whole lot of other things, but it's a time for celebrating the people that are around us. And celebrating and being so grateful that we have those people to help us with all of these difficult things and all of these wonderful things. Because without those people, we'd be by ourselves. That's no fun. That is no good. No one should be by themselves and alone. So as you celebrate life, as you celebrate Easter, as you celebrate being happy, and also if you're feeling sad, all of these things I hope that you can celebrate with people that you care about and that care about you. That is the most important. And maybe you'll smile, maybe you'll laugh, maybe you will share with each other. Sharing is hard when we're talking about chocolate, but if we can share chocolate, then we can share our sadness and our happiness too, definitely. So chocolate on Easter is good anytime. It's good at church, it's good at breakfast, it's good at lunch, and it's good at dinner. So one day only, parents, don't send me emails. Okay. If you take an egg, you'll find, because I'm sure you don't have enough chocolate, but here's some more. Here we go. You are welcome to join Ariane and Daisy in Kid Spirit this morning, and I hope you have a good time learning more about Easter stories and Easter things. And would you please take this to Daisy and Ariane? I think they would like some too. Thank you.
See her walking in the light of love. We are 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 walking, walking, we are walking. Oh, we are walking in the light of love. We are walking, walking, we are walking. Oh, we are walking in the light of love. See a Habakkuk and Yenikos. 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 See a Habakkuk, see a Habakkuk. Oh, see a Habakkuk and Yenikos. See a Habakkuk, see a Habakkuk. Oh, see a Habakkuk and Yenikos. We are walking in the light of love. 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 We are walking, walking, we are walking. Oh, we are walking in the light of love. We are walking, we are walking. Oh, we are walking in the light of love.
I want to share a story with us, a story of walking, a story that comes from the 1st century, and a story that's found only in one of the 4 gospel collections of stories about Jesus and the community of Jesus that have been preserved for us in the Christian scriptures. We are all familiar with the stories that begin early in the morning that commemorate this day we celebrate. This is a story from later on that same day, meaning the same day that all 4 gospel storytellers tell us that women went to the tomb to prepare a body, the body of Jesus, for a proper burial. So later, that same day, 2 other followers were walking to the village of Emmaus, about 7 miles out of Jerusalem. They were in deep conversation, going over all the things that had happened. In the middle of their talk with each other, a stranger came and walked along with them. And the stranger asked, "What is it you're talking so intently about as you walk along?" And they stood there, with long faces like they'd lost their best friend. And one of them, whose name was Cleopas, said, "You must be the only person in all of Jerusalem who hasn't heard what's happened over the last few days." And they went on to say the things that happened to Jesus of Nazareth, a prophet, a teacher. Our high priests and leaders betrayed him and got him sentenced to death, and the Romans crucified him. We'd hoped he was the one who was about to deliver Israel. And now it's 3 days since that happened, and some of the women who went to the tomb have completely confused us. Early this morning, when they were at the tomb, they couldn't find his body. And so the women found the tomb empty. When they all came to the edge of the village where they were headed, the stranger acted as if he was going on, but they pressed him to stay and have supper with them. It was nearly evening. So he went in, and here's what happened. They sat down at table together, talking. The stranger blessed and broke and gave bread to them. And in that moment, they recognized something familiar. They talked to each other. Didn't we feel like our hearts were on fire as we walked with this stranger? They left and immediately went back to Jerusalem, where the others were hiding in fear. In this old story, may we find wisdom for living this new day.
In a world filled with doubt, just believe. In a world filled with sorrow, show kindness and love. When it seems like you're defeated, stay and run the race and believe. Just believe. Dreams give us courage when we're afraid. Dreams build endurance to face another day. Dreams help us be the change that we want to see when we believe. When we believe. Dare to dream. Dare to try. Dare to be the one to reach for the sky. Believe in yourself and your plan. Don't say I can't, say I can. And dare to be a dreamer of dreams. Spread your wings and reach for the moon and stars. Never doubt the power that's yours and ours. In a world where darkness can fill the night, just believe and shine your light. Dare to dream, dare to try, dare to be the one to reach for the skies. Believe in yourself and your heart, for this is where miracles start. Dare to be a dreamer. Of dreamer of dreams, dreamer of dreams, dreamer of dreams, a dreamer, dreamer of dreams, a dreamer of dreams.
Over the better part of the last 2 years, growing out of the isolation of COVID, had the gift of gathering online with a small circle of women every other week. We lean into reflection and share, following whatever threads, wherever they take us. And in a recent conversation, one of the women shared a childhood memory that resonated. My friend grew up in a small northern prairie community. And she spoke about how she and her best friend had a habit of walking each other home. They'd walk and talk until they reached the house of one of them. And then, not wanting to break the connection, they'd then walk each other to the other one's house. And it would continue back and forth until they had to go in. I remember having a similar ritual as a teen with my friends in a small northern New Brunswick community. We weren't a gang, but we were a pack. And we'd call for each other at each other's door so we could make our way to school or choir or church or youth group or whatever it was together. And then we'd walk each other home. And we'd start by the one who was at the furthest end of town. She'd walk to the next nearest friend's house on the way towards school or church and ring the doorbell and be joined by that friend. And then together they'd stop for the next one down the street, and so on until there were 6 or 8 of us making our way, usually down the middle of the street, not on the sidewalk. And then we just reversed the process to walk each other home. My closest friend and I lived almost across the street from each other. So once we reached her home, we'd stand at the end of her driveway talking while our friends made their way on up the hill. And then we'd decide to walk the other one home. And so we'd cross the street and we'd stand at the end of my driveway and we'd talk. And we'd move back and forth across the street, walking each other home, not wanting to stop walking each other home. There was something very important in all of this. Something about making our way there together, not alone. Something important about walking each other home. It's one of the things that speaks to me in the stories we remember in the Easter season. The storytellers of our tradition begin by giving us a small group of friends who make their way together to the tomb of their teacher and friend. They walk with each other in the early light of the first day after Sabbath. They've witnessed the worst the empire can do. They've stood in their helplessness and felt the horror of our inhumanity. State and religion sanctioned violence. They've watched their teacher die a cruel and violent death. And they've honored the Sabbath in the way that their tradition prescribed. And now, at their first opportunity, they come together to do what they can to prepare what's left of his body for a proper burial. But as the story goes, they fail to find the body, but they find themselves walking into a new way of being for and with each other. In the way Luke stitches stories together, later that same day, 2 other friends from the community of Jesus are also walking together. We just heard that story that places them on the road from Jerusalem to Emmaus. Some manuscripts say it's a village about 7 miles from Jerusalem. Others say it's 60. Others say it's 160. But the distance is immeasurable because, according to scholars, Emmaus didn't exist on any map. Those who first heard this story would know it was a teaching story. They would know that Emmaus was a village no one ever heard of. It's a village mentioned nowhere else in the Bible. A village that scholars and archaeologists have never been able to identify. John Dominic Crossan, a contemporary New Testament scholar, has put it so succinctly. He says, Emmaus is nowhere because Emmaus is everywhere. And Emmaus is a story that never happened. And it's a story that's always happening. It's not a ghost story or a story about a dead man walking and talking and eating. It's a parable. A story to instruct a grieving community about finding a way to go on by walking each other home. In the world of that story, 2 friends immersed in their grief are walking away from the place that just broke their hearts. They're walking together toward the simplicities of life in a fictitious village. They're doing what we all want to do when life just gets to be too much. They're just trying to get away from it all. Escape the grief and the pain, even if it's just for a little while. And they speak to each other about their pain and their confusion, the death they've witnessed and the rumors of their teacher's missing body. And a stranger intrudes into their private grief. And it just takes too much effort to explain their broken hopes. Impatiently, Cleopas, one of the 2, just scolds the intruder. You must be a foreigner. You must be an outsider. Are you the only one in this entire country who doesn't know the terrible and tragic things that happened in Jerusalem this week? Isn't that an experience we've all had? We've had it with a cashier or a driver or a stranger, someone who has no idea about the meteor that just struck our lives. And they're living in a totally different world than we are. Their world is going on. It's business as usual. And our world is broken beyond repair. But in the story, that stranger became a sensitive listener and walked with them and invited them to share their grief and tell their stories and talk about that reality that they're trying to walk away from. And the floodgates of their pain opens, and they share their anger toward the enemy who executed their beloved friend. And they share their shattered hopes, their devastation that Jesus failed to be the Messiah they thought he would be. And the story brings them close to their destination, and the stranger seems to be going further. And they urge him to stay with them. And around the dinner table, the conversation continues. And they follow the deepest instinct of their grief, seeking to find meaning in the midst of all that's happened. And that stranger takes bread and blesses it and breaks it, and they share it. And one ordinary moment follows another. The deceptive simplicity assumes a shattering significance. When this story was written, more than 50 years after Jesus had died, that early Jesus community was recognizing the truth of this story, that in opening to our common humanity, in sharing stories with one another, in putting our feet under the same table, the life of Jesus may have ended, but the way of Jesus continues. The dream of the beloved community he nurtured can be embodied in small and life-changing ways when we're present to one another. There's some deep knowing that whenever and however we meet one another in our deepest pain or in our most profound joy, in our genuine wonder, in our real hopes, when we meet with each other in authenticity and vulnerability, and we share our sacred stories, and we share a meal with one another, our common humanity is exposed. Our shared hopes and dreams and longings and needs connect us. We're no longer separate or strange to one another. We're together in the mystery and the miracle of living. And for a moment, or for a lifetime, strangeness dissolves into a familiarity that unites us. We're hungry for the same things. We're thirsty for the same things. We are all just walking each other home. The stories that give us this season are not about an event in history. They're about experiences that we have in our lives again and again and again. They're not about what happened to the corpse of Jesus. They're about what happens in authentic and loving community. They're about what happens when we walk each other home. They're not stories about the resuscitation of a body. They're stories about the resilience of the human spirit and the transformation of scattered and fearful friends into a community that embodies a legacy that extends a vision beyond a singular lifetime or a moment in history. Easter is the name that our ancients gave to the god of fertility. And Easter is our name for the experiences we have of the generativity of life, of the regeneration of hope, of discovering that there is a way out of no way. There is life even after our lives have been altered forever. There is life even in the midst of grief. To be an Easter people, it's not about believing any particular claims. It's not about literalizing the myths of our spiritual ancestors. To be an Easter people is to be an Emmaus people. It's to be walking each other home, helping each other find deep beauty amid great ugliness, and to focus on unspeakable kindness in the midst of unthinkable cruelty, and to celebrate where compassion supersedes callousness, to help each other go high when others go low, to prove that our highest humanity can be experienced even in the worst of circumstances. Easter is about keeping each other in step with what it takes to walk softly without a big stick, to walk gently and gratefully with earth, our home, and to walk with each other humbly as we walk each other home. May we find the ways to do that on this Easter day. As we seek to strengthen our intentions to live as an Easter people, we offer this, our collective prayer, sharing the words you find before you with each other. On this Easter morning, in the midst of all that life is, may we open to the pain and joy of living. Together, may we find the resilience that enables us to reframe our days toward love, sufficiency, forgiveness, and toward the hope that can take root and grow in us and in the world. We come together in this time to strengthen our intentions, to rise to this adventure. Come what may, we seek to be alive to the power of walking each other home. May we find our way together. Amen.
Be the hope, be the hope, be the love, be the peace like a dove, be the joy, be the care, be the heart we can share, be the hope, be the hope, be the hope. Be the light sweeping shadows away. Be the laughter of children at play. Be the just, be the bold, be the kind.
I don't know about you, but one of the things that has gotten me through this last few years has been the gift of music. And I'm so grateful to those who have so consistently, again and again, week after week, season after season, when you were here and when you were not here, when you were online and not in this room. I'm so, so grateful for all the person hours, all the time and energy. We thank you, we thank you. There's an opportunity for those of you who are online or those of you who get home very quick from this circle to share some conversation with each other. Nell is our host for our post-gathering reflection time, an opportunity to see one another on Zoom and interact and share about your experience of the themes of this morning with each other. So we invite you to be a part of that time. And also for those who enjoy and appreciate an opportunity to be in the natural world with young people, children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, anyone. Bring someone along and join our Forest Families gathering in April. It's on April 30th at 9:30, just 2 hours on Saturday mornings in Victoria Park. I'm sure you will have a wonderful experience. And as always, deep gratitude for the way financial support has continued in these weeks and months when we've not been meeting in person. So many of you have continued to support so regularly in pre-authorized remittances with PAR or in providing your check or e-transfers to the church or supporting our grocery card program. There is a box at the back this morning if you want to make a contribution, and we are grateful for each gift, whether it comes regularly, occasionally, whether it's small or large. Each gift is significant and enables us to be about the community of walking one another home.
Took a side of
Friends, as we begin to live Easter, as we take Easter into our life, into our day, into our week, and into our season, may we be the light. May we ourselves be the hope and the peace. May we restore faith in each other as we walk with each other. May we be the Easter the world needs as we go.